Okay, we're moving on to the next technique of finding limits, and we always have to run through everything what we're doing. So we're being asked to find the limit as x approaches 3 of the square root of 2x plus 3 minus x on top and x minus 3 on the bottom. Now we plug in 3 in the bottom, I get 0. When I plug in 3 in the top, inside the square root, I get 6 plus 3, that's 9. Square root of 9 is 3. 3 minus 3 is 0, so I get 0 on top, 0 on bottom. Again, try to avoid writing equals 0 over 0. Now, what am I supposed to do? There's nothing to factor. There's no fractions to fix. But what we can do, one note, don't square the top and square the bottom. First off, you'll change the answer when you square the top and you square the bottom. Secondly, when you square the top, you'd have to FOIL, and you'd get a much bigger, longer thing, and it would still have a square root in it. And so that's not the way we simplify these in algebra class. What we do is we do something called rationalizing the numerator, and we do that by multiplying by the conjugate. Now, what's the conjugate on top? It's that same hideous looking thing, except it has a plus sign here, where this one has a minus sign here. For what it's worth, the word conjugate means part of a couple. So this and this are just part of a couple. Now, why did we do that? Well, what we really have here is like a minus b times a plus b, and we know from algebra that a minus b times a plus b is a squared minus b squared. So I don't have to multiply out the whole thing on the top. I know what's going to happen. I'm going to get this squared, which just makes the square root away, minus this squared. Now, again, the reason we're doing this is to fix the top. I don't want to ruin the bottom by multiplying everything out, so I don't. I just write the old bottom times the conjugate. Now, hopefully this fixed the problem. If I now plug 3 in, I'm going to get 9 minus 9 on top. That's 0. Plugging 3 in the bottom right into here, it still gives us 0, so I'm still out of luck. So I'm going to work back and say, ooh, can I factor and cancel? Well, remember, if you plug in 3 and you get 0, you know that x minus 3 is a factor. So when I look at the top and I pull out a minus sign, I know that there's an x minus 3. The other piece is just going to be x plus 1, which is great. Now this x minus 3 and this x minus 3 cancel. And what does that do? Remember, we were looking for the height of the whole of this whole new function. This canceling gave me the same function, except there's a dot where the original function had a hole. And if there's a dot there, we can take the limit just by plugging in the number. So when I plug in 3 on top, I get minus 4. When I plug in 3 on bottom, again, this is 2 times 3 is 6. 6 plus 3 is 9. Square root of 9 is 3. 3 plus 3 is 6. Whew. All right, arithmetic's the hardest part of this thing. And I get minus 2/3 for an answer. And we've evaluated our next limit.